Namaste and welcome to the weekly Essence of Knowledge meeting. This meeting is a part of the Essence of Knowledge program, which is available for free on gyanmarg.guru for all the seekers of knowledge. And in these meetings, I try to answer your questions and help you to complete this program. And we also conduct tests. So today we are going to start with a test of Joshua.
I see the questions. If I may have just a moment to read through them, and I will begin answering. Thank you. Okay, if you can hear me, I'm ready to begin. The first question is, in one sentence, what is essential knowledge? What is coming to mind for me is that in one sentence, I would say the essential knowledge is that existence is not two. That would be one sentence. To further explain my understanding of that, it would be that existence is just this. With mind, we divide it up into you and me and this and that, but the essence of all of that is one thing. We call that here the experiencer. But yes, the existence is one. Question 2 is, how are the means of knowledge chosen? So on the path of knowledge, we use our direct experience and logic as the means of knowledge. This is chosen because it works. This is based on our experience that what is true is unchanging and what is false is constantly changing. It's constantly in flux. So we choose this based on our experience and because it works. So question 3 is, if truth is one, how can it be known using a subjective criterion of truth? Just a moment. Let me sit with this one. I will begin in just a second. So on the path of knowledge, we use the subjective criterion of truth to do a sort of indirect investigation where we use whatever is in front of us, whatever the illusion is showing. We use the criterion of truth to investigate and to get to the essence of that illusion. So we can use what is false to arrive at the truth. It's like a stepping stone, is how I would put it. Question 4 is, a seeker wants to reach unknowing, not knowledge. Is this true or false? This is true. On the path of knowledge, the knowledge we gain isn't really gained. It's a negative knowledge. What it does is it removes the false beliefs that we've acquired through our indoctrination and our living life. Just our wrong views, wrong perspectives, anything we've believed for no good reason. The knowledge removes those things, and we are left with what is left, which seems to be something like nothing. 5 is, each person lives in their own world, and hence there are many existences. Explain. With this, I almost think the question is tricky. It says that each person lives in their own world, and hence there are many existences. I would say that the premise there is false, or there are some false assumptions in the question. People, persons, me, we are experiences. And the experiencer is the one experiencing all of this. And so I would not say that each person lives in their own world or has their own existence. I would say that each person is an experience within the one existence. Question 6 is an empty mind a sure sign of state of emptiness? Is an empty mind a sure sign of state of emptiness? I may not be totally understanding this question, but I am going to say no. I don't think an empty mind or a full mind is necessarily a sure sign of anything. I think we arrive at this idea of emptiness through our experience and through logic, and we realize that there's no substance, that down at the bottom of everything, there seems to be just mystery or nothing, or what we call emptiness. And I know that's a tricky word because that emptiness contains everything, but yeah, I don't think a state of the mind is necessarily a sign of anything. Question 7 is, if I experience everything, why don't I experience suffering and joy? If I experience everything, why don't I experience suffering and joy? So if I'm understanding this correctly, I will answer this way. At this moment, the way existence is appearing, I am having a limited experience of an unlimited existence. And so that's why I maybe wouldn't experience suffering and joy and all of these things all at once from this human perspective. And ultimately, from the experiencer's perspective, it's witnessing this suffering and this joy. It isn't the suffering or the joy. It isn't even participating in the suffering and the joy. It's the screen where the suffering and the joy appear. And I think that gets at the question here. So I'm going to move on to 8, which is, how does awareness practice bring ultimate knowledge? How does awareness practice bring ultimate knowledge? I think awareness practice, in a way, does not bring ultimate knowledge. I think ultimate knowledge is something like the removal of all ignorance. And the awareness practice would just be there to help the seeker remember. I know my experience is that through daily life, I'm sort of maybe like a wave in the ocean, tossed this way and that a little bit. And there are some simple things I can do, like awareness practice, that are just there to help me remember. But ultimately, it's not really giving me anything. Number 9 is, experience shows that we are all one, true or false? This is a tricky question again. Experience will never show that we're all one. At least that's my experience. Experience shows us what's false. Experience shows us the illusion, what we are not. The essence of that is the oneness, but that can never be known as a direct experience. Oneness is what it already is. It's beyond experience. Anything we try to describe or add to it just takes us further away from it. Is my understanding or my best pointer at what I'm trying to say here. So with that, I will go to 10, which is, can we say there is nothing to know and therefore nothing to contemplate? There is nothing to know and therefore nothing to contemplate. Yes, I think this is ultimately true, that what we arrive at is the unknowable. And maybe that gives us something to contemplate in a way, or we can choose to contemplate as the seeker, as a way to help us remember. But I do think that ultimately we are just left at this vast mystery, this nothing that contains everything, existence, and that would be the removal of all ignorance. Would sort of leave us with the nothing. So I think that could be true in a way. And maybe in another way, from a human perspective, that gives us something to contemplate. But I don't think that it's necessary, no. And I think that answers the questions. I hope I did well, and I'm anxious to hear your thoughts. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you. Very good attempt by Joshua. And you get 8 out of 10, which is a very good score. And this shows that you have good enough preparation now to proceed in the program, which is step number 4, which is awareness practice, a result of the knowledge. But it is also a test of the knowledge. How do you apply this knowledge in everyday life? So we'll watch you for 12 weeks, 3 months. And the instructions are as usual in the program. So congratulations, you are pass. And now if there are any questions, anybody wants to ask anything, they can send by writing. And if I see your question, I'll try to answer it first. Otherwise, I'll discuss the questions of the test for the benefit of everybody. Actually, he got all of the answers right. There was no wrong answer, but some marks were deducted for completion. That's all. Otherwise, his answers are very good. So, as you know, I sometimes deduct marks to encourage seekers to polish their answers. And it does not mean that they are wrong, it simply means that the art of answering needs to be improved. That's all. Okay, so before we discuss the answers, Shivam is saying when you said you need to check from the other two levels, from non duality and transactional reality, can you put more light on it? Sure, yes. Whenever there is a question, what is true, what is not true, what is reality, and what is assumption, what is imagination, you need to check and answer from 3 points of views just to complete the contemplation. The first is non-dual, which is the highest point of view. Second is dual, where we divide the non-dual into two, as you know, experience and experiencer. And third is transactional, which is at the level of the illusion, where the illusion is considered true for practical reasons. So this will complete the answer on any subject, or at least most of the subjects, because some answers are uh, some questions or some problems, they are valid only on one level or two levels, but sometimes there is. And there is a very good example. The example is you. Suppose you ask, who am I? What am I? How to answer this completely? Because if you have simply heard the teachings here and there, one line, two line, you will say, I am the experiencer, which is the most common answer to this question, which is right. I am not saying it's wrong. However, is it complete? You need to check. Because at the non-dual level, there is no experiencer separately. Can you say, I am the experience? No, it is not also complete. So at the non-dual level, the answer is, there is no I, there is only whole. You can say there is no wave, there is ocean, for metaphor. At the dual level, yes, I am not any experience. Why? Because that is not essence. That is the changing part or the false part of the existence, false aspect. So the unchanging is me. Essentially, I am what? That which is unchanging, the essence, nature, tattva in Sanskrit. So I am the experiencer at the dual level when the division has been made. And what am I at the level of the illusion? And the answer is very clear. I am a human being. I need to behave like a human being in everyday life. In transactional reality, while operating in this illusory, you can say virtual reality, it's not really there, but we are acting here. It's a kind of dream. Here I am the dream character. No shame in saying that. Those who have full knowledge, they say I am ordinary person. They do not say that I am the Brahman all the time. So this completes the answer of who am I or what is my truth, so on. All these questions, they fall in the same category. If you analyze all the subjects of path of knowledge, all the topics from these 3 points of views, you will get a complete knowledge. You will get a complete answer, and there won't remain any doubt in your mind. So usually, what happens? Like when I'm explaining something, or when the seekers here are answering questions, we don't bother to explain all the three things, all the three levels. Why? Because we have a mutual understanding. We know some things. We assume that, oh, you already know that it is all one. And when I'm saying I'm the experiencer, or I'm explaining something about the experiencer, it is not born, it does not die, and so on. We assume that you already know about the two levels, rest of the levels. We don't bother, we take a shortcut. That is the traditional path of knowledge. Everything is shortened into one sentence, sometimes one word. You must have seen those conjoined Sanskrit words. Like one word fills the whole line on the page. So they are trying to save space or something, and it is easy to memorize. So this is tradition, that we want to be very brief and we assume that you know the rest. But for a newcomer, it is a difficult situation. They are confused. If I am the experiencer, who is this person? They will say. Newcomers, obviously students, for them, we need to explain it completely sometimes. As you go further in the path of knowledge, you will get this art of very pithy, short answers. And sometimes one sentence kills everything, kills the question, kills the doubt. This happened today in Joshua's test. In one of the questions, one of the answers, he said just one sentence which killed the whole question. I'll come to that. So slowly you get that art of filling a cup with the ocean in a cup. So Joshua is saying, I'm grateful and humbled. If I need evidence of grace in my life, the appearance of this program certainly is. Yes, you are right. It is an event of grace for all of us, not only for those who benefit from this program. It is for all of us. That includes me. So well then. And if there are any more questions, you can write them here. So we'll proceed to the discussion of the questions. So number one was, in one sentence, what is essential knowledge? And his answer was right. You can say everything is one. And if you want to elaborate a little more, you can say the one that is experiencing is both the experiencer and the experience done. See, that's what when I said you can fill the cup with an ocean, whole ocean in a cup. This sentence is a very good example. That covers the whole essential knowledge. There is nothing more to know. Can you believe this? There is nothing more to know. And actually this program starts with this sentence. And then the whole program is simply an attempt to prove this sentence. Proof of the sentence. That's all. So in very poetic words, beautiful words, we can say the dreamer is the dream is the dreamer. That is the whole knowledge, you see. Yes, there will be many points of views. No, no, this is not the whole knowledge. There is more. That is all details. Details. Okay, next question. How are the means of knowledge chosen? So he got half mark here, zero point 0.5, because he correctly said that it works. It works, and it is like a stepping stone, so on, criteria of truth, and so on. Actually, he said that it is based on our own direct experience and logic. We choose the means of knowledge based on direct experience and logic, and the means of knowledge comes out to be direct experience and logic, like he said. That works. It is an iterative process. It is not like that one day we decide I'll use only these means, I'll discard the books, I'll discard the gurus, and so on. We don't do it without thinking. So people have done that. Fortunately for us, they have already done the research. So the question was how to get the most reliable knowledge. What are the reliable means, not the valid means? And they found that experimentation, whatever comes through the senses, five senses, whatever very refined intellect can say about something without biases and imagination, preconception, that gives knowledge, and that is reliable. What are the signs of reliable knowledge or reliable information or anything? It will not change, or it will not change so much. There will be some instances, exceptions, and so on, but usually it produces good enough knowledge. So, what we do is again a subtractive process, removing what is not reliable, what is shady, suspicious. We keep removing them, and then we are left with our own instrument. What is this instrument? Body mind instrument that produces most reliable knowledge. But it will not initially, because it is not trained, it is not tuned. So, tuning of the instrument is necessary. That is your practice, that is your sadhana. And the guru is necessary so that and the body mind is prepared for the knowledge. How it is prepared? And that is another story, you see. The qualities of the student. There are many. The student must get these qualities, and then the knowledge happens. Sometimes people are born with some of these qualities and they have no issues in getting the knowledge. Then they don't even worry about the means of knowledge, because, like he said, it is like a stepping stone. Ultimately, what do we get? Nothing. We remove, that's all. So, next question is, if truth has won, how can it be known using a subjective criterion of truth? So, he got half mark again. Probably there was a misunderstanding in the question. So, this question is coming from this teaching in your program that the truth is subjective and arbitrary. Like everybody decides their own what is true, their own truth, and it is arbitrary. They take this decision based on their own understanding and emotions and feelings and whatever they want. It is very funny actually. If you ask a common person, ordinary person on the street, how do you know if something is true? You can do this experiment, and about 90% of the people have no idea. What do they say most of the time? If everybody says it is true, it is true. Like democratic idea. That is called democratic bias, or I don't know what, wisdom of masses, whatever it's called. And some people, usually women, say, I can feel that it is true. Feeling. Some people say, I check the internet. Internet is their means of knowledge. If the internet says it is true, yes, it is true. And nowadays, AI, if AI says it is true, yes, 100%. So, an ordinary person has no idea what is true, what is not, and they never attain the truth. Even common things they don't know what is true. So, if everything is subjective and everybody is doing this thing, they don't know what is true, how will anybody know the one truth? Because we are claiming that it is one, universal. So, what do we do actually? Again, we start by what works and we try to find something which will work in all the context. This is the keyword, all the context, universal. I was hoping to hear this thing, but he did not say it. I mean, a criterion which works in every context will be called truth or ultimate truth on the path of knowledge. So we have our own definition and we search. It is not that we decide one day, or we do not decide it based on a book. I mean, the same thing is written in books, obviously, books of non-duality or Advaita or Buddhism or whatever path of knowledge is there, branches. So we check what holds in all the contexts, all the states of the mind is not dependent on a person, is not dependent on what a book says, however ancient it is. And finally we find something, and that is immutability, which is a very technical word. So in ordinary language we say that which is unchanging, that is the truth. And then we keep checking. Actually, we check for whole of our lives. Do not believe it. So we start with subjective criteria. There is no problem at all. You start from anything, any criteria you take. If many people say it is true, yes, it is true. If many great masters are saying it is true, it is true. Start somewhere, subjective. Then you say, does it hold in every condition? And that is the check, whether it is universal. One truth means universal. And you can see that only this one criterion holds everywhere, in all the states of the mind also. So like this, it does not matter if it is a subjective criteria. It does not matter, because ultimately you will reach here. This is the miracle, that it can be known even if human beings are somewhat imperfect. Okay, number 4. A seeker wants to reach unknowing, not knowledge, true or false. And he said, yes, it is true. They don't want knowledge, they want unknowing. Or he actually said that we don't reach knowledge, we reach unknowing only, which is true. So he got half mark. Because even though it is true, a seeker starts with a desire to know. What is the main quality, important quality of a seeker? Intense desire for knowledge. Or in old traditions, you find this word, desire for liberation. Same thing. The bondage is due to ignorance, isn't it? So, desire for liberation, desire for knowledge, curiosity, we call it. This sentence can be both true and false, because initially it is not true that they are looking for unknowing. Guruji, I don't want to know anything, teach me something. It is not logical. Nobody will say like this. At least initially they don't want. But as they go on discovering that probably whatever I thought is all wrong, it is all indoctrination or assumptions and so on, then they want to reach unknowing. Then they want to destroy everything that they have. And that is also liberation. This needs to be answered from 2 points of views or 2 situations. The first situation is when the seeker is very new, just entering. They want knowledge. They want to know everything. Probably the least they want is to know themselves. That is the least common. They want to know whatever is outside them. How to be successful, how to achieve powers, spiritual powers, superpowers. I want to know this, I want to know that. I want to know why this thing was written in this book. Something like this, because there is hardly any knowledge there to even ask this question. What can be known? What can be known? What cannot be known? That much progress is not there. Maturity is not there. And then there is a second situation where the methods are revealed, how to know something, and the process of contemplation happens. And it is seen that I am reaching unknowing. I am not getting anything. I am reaching unknowing, which is a place of bliss, and it can be said complete knowledge. not accumulation of facts, but arriving at the true nature, that is unknowing. There's nothing to know there. It turns out that knowledge and ignorance are also concepts. It is amazing. Just like true and false are concept. In my view, at least, that was the complete answer of number 4. That you need to check it from in the beginning and when the seeker has progressed a little bit. So next question is, each person lives in their own world and hence there are many existences. Explain. And he got full marks. Very good answer. Very beautiful answer. And in one line he said that each person is actually an experience in the one. See how beautiful. So this is the example of filling the cup with an ocean. The question is completely killed. What is the assumption in the question? That since there are many points of views, there are many different experiences, which is what the question is calling as different worlds, their own world. There are different points of views or experiences. It appears that everything is fragmented, divided into these points of views. But it is only an appearance. It is only an illusion of separation of individuals. So, what is the reality? What is actually happening when we investigate the matter? It is necessary to investigate. Are we living in our own world? There is subjective experience, yes. Then we try to find the essence. What is the truth? What is the, in all these experiences, subjective or whatever, objective, what is it that is unchanging? We find the true nature. And it turns out that the true nature of everything is one. And these, whatever we call as people, and we assume that they are having experiences, is not true. They themselves are experiences that are happening on the screen of this one nature, one true nature. And the name is experiencer. That is the true nature. So everything turns out to be opposite. See how powerful this illusion is, how powerful this Maya is. It turns everything upside down. This is the mode of working of Maya or illusion. It completely reverses what is true. It is very interesting. Every person is simply an appearance in the whole, which is one. And the question is also saying there are many existences. There are many points of views to look at the one existence, whose essence comes out to be the same as the essence of this person. Atman is Brahman. Very simple, One sentence, 3 words, enough. So then in a final chapter on experience, we say that experience is also one. That which is appearing is also one. Obviously, that is the consequence of knowledge of oneness. Since the essence is not separated from the names and forms, or the unchanging is not separated from the changing, they are not two separate things. It is one. So that which is manifested must be one, although everybody will know it from a different point of view. There is a lot of difference between experiencing and knowing. Knowing is always wrong. The knowing shows that I am separate, I am having my own experience, I am living in my own world. It is completely false. That is knowledge. But that is what people call knowledge. It is ignorance from the point of view of path of knowledge. What is knowledge? Actual knowledge. Knowledge of the truth. That I don't experience anything. There is no world. Whatever is simply empty. These things are appearing. These thoughts are appearing. That's all. Like he said, it is this. Don't say anything after this. And in the analysis of the existence, we also show that there cannot be many existences. Because in what are these points of views appearing? So you see, it is not subjective, it is not objective, it is whole. That is the beauty here. That is called complete knowledge. Number 6. Is an empty mind a sure sign of emptiness, state of emptiness? And his answer was right, full marks. It is not a sign of anything. It is not a sign of anything, at least on the path of knowledge. So now we need to find the meaning of state of emptiness. It is a realization where we come to know that there is no substance in the existence. My true nature is non-substantial. What does that mean? It simply means that do not assign any qualities to it. Like any ordinary mind, unprepared mind will assign some qualities to anything. It is made up of this, it is made up of that, it is energy, it is vibration, it is this and that. But nothing can be said like this about the existence, whose true nature is myself, experiencer. This realization, coming to this realization, is, you can roughly say, state of emptiness. And what is known, that it is like this eternally. Before I realized it was empty, after I realized it will be empty. There is no other possibility. So it cannot be called a state. The definition of states is they come and go, mental state. But emptiness, you can say, is a state of the existence, permanent state. And that can be called bliss or peace. It is not inactivity. That is the error in the question. Emptiness cannot be said to be equal to inactivity, whether it is mental inactivity or inactivity of the body or things around you, that is the world. If everything stops, it will be empty. No, wrong notion, ignorance. So why is there a question about this? Because many people, including seekers, think that I need to sit still to experience the emptiness. And the answer is, you can, yes, why not? Still mind is also empty. Why not? However, full mind is also empty. Noisy mind is also empty. With body empty, without body empty, with world empty, without world. Because all these things are empty. Their essence is empty. So who will do this kind of empty mind practice? Those who don't know the essence. No self-realization, no essential knowledge. And they try to trick their mind into some kind of state. It is impossible to get the knowledge like this. Yes, you can enjoy the peace of mind like this by turning off a lot of activity of the mind. It is some kind of achievement in the illusion. That is illusory because it goes away. What are you doing? It is not something permanent. Because that which is permanent, the truth, is always empty. You don't need to do it. Don't need to empty the existence and check whether it is empty or not. Emptiness here simply means do not assign any qualities or superimpositions, concepts on the existence, on anything in the existence, including the whole experience and the experiencer. This is all you will find. So, is it equal to nothingness? No, it is empty, that's all. It means everything. So, yes, very tricky word. Usually, it is very difficult to understand what it is. And understanding of different people, including different masters, is a little bit different about the word emptiness. So, contemplate more. Okay, number 7. If I experience everything, why don't I experience suffering and joy? So he got full marks again. Very good answer. Question is coming from this ignorance that first you say that I am the experiencer, which means that which experiences everything. When it comes to suffering, you say no, you don't experience it. No suffering. When it comes to happiness, no, you are not happy. You are blissful, but you are not happy. And we say the experiencer is detached from these emotions or all emotions. How is that possible? It is like a contradiction. So the answer is very simple. Suffering and joy, they are experienced by the experiencer, yes, but not as suffering and joy. Just simple plain experience. What is happening? That is what is experienced. Can you check? Yes, you can. You suffer and you enjoy every day, isn't it? This is our daily life. You can check any day, anytime. The labels of suffering and joy are then added on the raw experience, whatever we call as the pure experience. Then the mind labels it according to its biases and desires as suffering and joy. An experience which is not according to his or her desires, wants, intentions will be called suffering. I experience suffering, the person will say. Something which is according to him, which is as per his desires, will be called experience of the joy. Although, from the point of view of the experiencer, something happened. Something happened as a dream, as a fleeting appearance. That's all. That's all was experienced. Plus, the naming or classification of the experience as suffering and joy was also experienced. The intellect did this classification. This was suffering, this was. And they are false. The suffering and the happiness, both are false because it changes. I usually give this very crude example of eating an animal. You kill an animal, you eat an animal. For somebody who is non-vegetarian, eats meat, this is a very joyful experience. They will say, yes, I enjoyed it a lot. Somebody who is highly sensitive, non-violent and vegetarian will say it is a suffering. Not only for that animal, it is also for me. I cannot even look at this. Same event, isn't it? Same experience of killing an animal and eating it. For one, it is happiness according to their tendencies and desires and whatever we call impressions, sanskars. For the other, it is tremendous amount of suffering according to their own impressions. What about the experiencer? What does the experiencer say? Experiencer will not say anything, will not classify it into suffering and joy. He will say something happened, you see. There was a creature, it was changed into food and it was put into the mouth and so on. And some mental activity happened. You can take this point of view of the experiencer, the neutral point of view. It is always neutral. It is always, we say, unaffected. Just to play the role of the experiencer as a person, you can do like this. Be the experiencer for a minute and see. There is no happiness, there is no joy. Another example that comes in my mind is experience of falling. If you fall from a high place, can you call it enjoyable? Why? Because the impressions on the mind will say, whatever are stored impressions, your programs, they will say it is terrible. It is the highest kind of suffering. I fell from a height. Even though I was not damaged, I was not injured, it is very bad experience. And when the same experience, when the same event happens in a joyride, what is that? Roller coaster ride, let us say, where that train falls many times. What do people say? I enjoyed it a lot. You see, it triggers the same areas in the brain, same biochemistry happens. One is suffering because we did not want it. Second is happiness because we wanted it. Same experience. Assuming no injuries happen in both. Who experienced this thing? The experiencer, obviously, not the person. So the experiencer experienced this event in the physical world through senses and the mental activity that happened, the rush of emotions and other activities, whatever you call as thrill and so on. So if the experiencer does not actually experience all these things, whatever we call as suffering and joy. And by logic, everything else. You don't need to explain every other experience. It is all neutral, detached. Something is happening, that's all. And that something which is happening is also false. So in one word, one sentence, you can say nothing is happening. There is nobody who experienced it. That is another dimension of the emptiness, you can say. So hopefully it is clear. Number 8. How does awareness practice bring ultimate knowledge? Full marks. I was not expecting a good answer. It's a confusing question, isn't it? Many people will say, yes, a lot of knowledge happens when you are aware. No, no, no. Awareness is a result of knowledge, not a means of knowledge. You need to distinguish, you need to discriminate the means of knowledge from application of knowledge. Awareness practice is application of knowledge. You will know nothing more. So his answer was correct. Okay, number 9, experience shows that we are all one, true or false. So his answer was right. It is a difficult question. It can be true and false depending on interpretation. Usually we say experiencer shows that we are one, because same experiencer, one experiencer. Remember, not similar experiencer, not copies of one, clones of experiencers. No, one. Just like the water below the waves is one. It is not that there is a similar water under every wave. No, it is not that all the waves are made up of clones of water. No, one water. But what does the experience show? Actually, the experience shows that we are all separate. However, how do we arrive at oneness? Nothing but experience. There is no other way. You will not see the experiencer. You will not see the ocean. You will see only waves, because we are at the surface. As a means of knowledge, we have only experience, and we arrive at oneness through this. We reverse it. We reverse the doing of the illusion, which is also called ignorance or wrong knowledge. We reverse it, and then we arrive at the essence. And when after knowing the essence, then only we can say we are all one, essentially. And then we can say in one sentence, experience shows us that we are one. You need to purify the experience. You need to transform the experience into truth. This is the process of knowing. Then we know that we are one. Am I going to see everything as one? Will everybody merge into one, like ball of light or something? No, we don't get this knowledge. We only destroy our beliefs that we are separate. That's all will happen. No evidence will be found for separation. So, no miracles, but the true miracle is destruction of ignorance. That is true miracle. No fireworks, no extraordinary experiences, plain truth. This is shown by the experience, which in an ignorant mind will show the same thing as separate. In an ignorant mind, the same experience will produce a knowledge of separateness. They will say, I know we are separate. That person will say like this. That is called knowledge usually. But that is ignorance. In a seeker who is on path of knowledge, well-trained person will say, the experience is showing that we are all one. You are happening in me and I am happening in you. This is also direct experience, although very poetic. What does it mean? Everything is happening in one. Okay, number 10. Can we say there is nothing to know and therefore nothing to contemplate? So he got half mark, and again the half mark was deducted because of incomplete answer. Again, like the earlier question, you need to answer it from two positions. The first is when the seeker is new, has no knowledge. And the second position is when he has little bit of knowledge, some knowledge. So when you are new, you need to contemplate. You cannot say there is nothing to know. How will you progress? How will you arrive at a knowing? How will you reach this position of saying that there is nothing to know? That is the final position actually. So you start with contemplating. You start with this assumption that I need to know. I need to find out. And then finally you see that there is nothing to know. Finally, and knowing happens, which is complete knowledge actually. It cannot be called a state of ignorance. So, yes, after that, there is no need to contemplate. After that, the mind will produce only noise, like it will keep turning like a wheel in the domain of path of knowledge. Nothing to know. But in the domain of the illusion, you need to live your everyday life and you need to know whatever is needed for a good life. Fully knowing it is all illusion, it is not knowledge, it is transactional, or we also call it relative knowledge. Relative knowledge. The contemplation stops at the highest level. Nothing to know. In my opinion, this is the complete answer. But yes, there can be more opinions. People will say, don't contemplate, there is nothing to know, just accept it. Some people accept it. But a very curious person, rebellious person, which is like quality of a seeker, will not accept it. And there comes the guru. The guru will say, don't try to know it, nothing to know. No, 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 teach me. And then the guru silences the seeker. Actually, the guru will not say that there is nothing to know. The guru will say, try to know how much ignorant you are. A really good guru will be this strict. Try to know what kind of stupid you are. That is the thing you need to know. So, my guru was like this. I came to know that there is nothing to know by actually finding out that there is nothing to know. You need to take this journey. You need to stumble along somehow. Try to find. And if you can find something, if you can surely say that I know this thing surely, then you have proven everybody wrong. Then the whole path of knowledge is proven wrong. You get the Nobel Prize of spirituality. But this has not happened. All we know is emptiness. All we know is oneness, zeroness, whatever. We give it names. And giving it names is not really knowledge. Sometimes I say, you are the experiencer. I'm simply putting a name on the word you. Pronoun. Is this knowledge? That which you are will never form any impressions in the memory. Like he said, it's all negative knowledge, removal. So what is known? You arrive at a knowing and then simply remain what you are. Very simple. It is a simplification. And after that, you try to know and you try to contemplate. That shows there are traces of ignorance. It is not wrong. Any seeker will do that. So keep contemplating till you get bored of it, till you give up. For 1 year, for 2 years, 3 years, I'm trying to find something. Everything comes out to be negative. Everything is simply removal, purification, cleaning of dirt. Then you leave it because the mind will keep producing doubts and questions. So it happens. You need to sometimes contemplate. Sometimes you need to contemplate on worldly issues or sometimes spiritual issues also. What is ethical, what is non-ethical, so on. Once the ultimate is known, there is ultimate silence in the mind. Probably that is what they call empty mind. Probably. It is not absence of activities of the mind, mental activity. An empty mind is a peaceful mind where there is absence of doubt, where there is absence of ignorance, where there is absence of this notion that I know everything, I know this thing, I know every book in the world, where there is absence of this kind of egoic activity, or this activity, if present, is seen as false. That will be called empty mind. You can say interpretation of the word. We call it pure mind actually, not empty mind, pure mind. So it does not cease, it does not stop working because it came to know something. It works in a beautiful way. So we say this body-mind instrument reaches its completion. This life is complete. This is the whole purpose of taking a form. Sometimes we say like this. I don't know how many people agree with this. This completes the life. Now many people will say, no, I have this impurity, my body is like this, my mind has impure thoughts and all. No problem. It is just illusion as usual. Do you have any doubts? Do you have any ignorance? No, sir. I know. I reached unknowing. Yes, then you are pure. Completion. Life is fulfilled. So I can go on like this, but you get the point. This is the end of questions of test. Very good answers by Joshua. Okay, Shivam is asking, experience is virtual reality. You see, in a metaphorical way, like an example, we can say. What is virtual reality? In technical terminology, it looks like our everyday experience. It is not a dream. It is not the waking experience. It is created by the devices, instruments, machines, computers. It feels like it is real. If you have played these games in virtual reality, it feels that I am there. There are people around, there are dragons, and there are magicians, and some old town is there, mountains, rivers. They interact with you. It is almost physical. So, audio visual, two senses most of the time. So, it is a good metaphor for what is happening right now, whatever you call real world. What is the instrument here? What is the device here? A nervous system, the body mind. It is creating something, and the experiencer is witnessing. The experiencer is the real player here. That is why we call it play. And that instrument, as well as whatever is appearing through that instrument, is not separate from the player. The player is the play. So there the metaphor of virtual reality breaks down, but it is good to explain, to give you an idea of what is happening. Whatever you call as experience is understood by this metaphor. So what happened when there was no virtual reality in old days? They used another metaphor, which is of dream. Very good metaphor. It is like a dream. And some people, they use the metaphor of theater or movies. Theater, the theater of experience, or many poets will call it theater of the world. We are all actors, something like this. And many Greek philosophers, they call it play of shadows, shadows on the wall. So there are many metaphors, very old metaphors, they still work. We have new metaphors now, virtual reality. Akash is saying Plato's cave. Yes, exactly. Shadows and wall. It is a very detailed metaphor. And it also shows that how people are slaves of this experience. They are tied to this, thinking that it is real. They are engrossed there. So anyhow, that is another case. That is why liberation is our goal on path of knowledge. Not only we want to know what is this, not only we are curious, we want to get out of this illusion. Shivam is saying like a simulation. No, experience is not a simulation of something real. It is the real experience. It is the real illusion. What is the meaning of the word simulation, since we have a little bit of time and no more questions, I think? It comes from the same word which is like similar in some Western language. I don't know, probably you guys know. Similar or same. So a simulation is a copy of something which is real. Like we say simulation of weather, simulation of physics, or simulation of water fluids. These are scientific words. Why don't we say illusion of water, illusion of physics, illusion of weather? No, because there is something real in the world. We are trying to copy it, produce it. So virtual reality is sometimes a copy of whatever is actually present, but it can be something totally imaginary. Like I gave you the example of a dragon that can appear in the virtual reality. Is the dragon a simulation of the real dragon? No. Or a flying horse or flying elephant. You can make anything appear there. So it is not a copy of something real. Our experience is not a copy of something real, it is pure illusion. Akash is saying, not like the movie Matrix. Exactly. It is not a mechanism where we are made to experience something, and if you break out of this, we'll experience the reality. No, we'll experience another dream. Actually, that is the message in that movie, The Matrix. There is a message there that although the hero got out of the matrix, but ultimately he was not freed. He went to another matrix. I don't know which part of the movie says it. There are 2 or 3 movies like this. So he goes into another matrix, which is designed to capture these kind of bugs. He was an error in the original simulation. So there is another good movie. It's called 13th Floor. The 13th Floor. And there this is illustrated better in a more direct way, that the characters in the simulation, they get out of it, but they enter into another higher level of simulation. We have a very original illusion. It is an illusion, it is not a simulation, and this creature will never leave it because it itself is a part of the illusion. It will not leave, it will never go out of it. It is destroyed, yes, it's temporary, isn't it? Why do we call it an illusion? Because it is changing, temporary, impermanent. So all that happens to this creature is it disappears, reappears, another form, another illusion. So how to get out of the illusion? The good news is you don't need to do anything. You are already out of it. The illusion is in you. See how beautiful it is. Like I said in the beginning of today's meeting, that the Maya or the force of the illusion, the power, you see, it is a power. It is worshipped by people. It reverses everything. It wants to keep you in the illusion, reverses it. It says, this is the reality. You are the real person, nothing outside of it. Actually, there is nothing outside of it, but you are outside of it. So it actually covers up the reality. That is the success of the illusion. A good virtual reality game or a good movie will make you forget that it is false. That is the sign of a very good movie, very good director, that it is so engaging that you forget that you are watching a movie or you are playing a game. A game character is killed in the game, and you can see the anger on the face of the player. The player is disappointed, starts crying. Everybody must have experienced this in their young age when you played the games. You identify with the character in the game. Same about dreams. So it is very convincing. It is very, you can say, artful. It shows the expertise of the creator of the illusion, which is illusion itself, Maya. So sometimes I say, Maya is the greatest director in the universe, best director, best producer of the movies. It is amazing. So we do not call the illusion as something which needs to be thrown away. We need to get rid of it. No, accept it. The illusion is also you, and it is the most beautiful thing. It is the most perfect. Akash is saying, in Plato's cave, there is real world outside the shadows. The only real substance is infinite potential nothingness. Yes, all these metaphors, they break down somewhere, and that's why we have never included metaphor as a means of knowledge, although traditionally it is means of knowledge in Upanishads and all. But we have removed it because somewhere it breaks. The Plato's metaphor breaks because it shows people are leaving the cave and entering the heavenly world somewhere. It is not possible. Yes, you can leave a painful and bad illusion and enter into a heavenly dream. That is possible. That is possible. Many people are trying to do it, including the seekers. However, it is a state of the mind. This present life can be heavenly if your state of the mind is good. You won't desire anything more. Why do you want heaven? Why do you want to escape the cave? Because this is painful. There is suffering. Why is there suffering? You don't know what it is. You don't know it is an illusion. Just like I gave the example of falling and eating the dead animals and so on. You see, we think the suffering is real. What else we can do? We are the puppets of the illusion, you see. Nothing can be done. So we desire a better experience. Nothing wrong. Remember, it is a part of the illusion. You are still in the matrix. A better matrix. Will it last? No. It changes. It changes according to a very good rule that if it goes too positive, ultimately it will change into too negative. If the wave rises higher, there is a pit in the ocean, you see. When you dig out the soil, you also dig a pit, but you have a big mountain of the soil. So the illusion has a rule. You can call it a rule. It tries to balance. Rhythm compensates, masters will say. It is a rhythmic change, and the change is always such that it compensates. There is never an experience or illusion of only one kind. It will never be positive, positive, positive. No, not possible. It turns back into negative. So, what do? We stay near the zero, empty mind, like I said, pure mind. Stay near the zero line, oscillate a little bit, enjoy. That is the peace. That is called bliss. If you do it extreme, yes, you get more adventure. You get to see the extreme views of the illusion. Extreme experiences are possible. There is no limit. It will never remain one kind. Every metaphor has a limit, and as soon as we hit the limit, we change the metaphor. We do this because it is simply a device to understand. That's all it is. The real knowledge will happen by direct experience. But they are very beautiful, all these metaphors. Joshua is saying, I used to think I needed to escape into the real world somehow, and that ego was something like an enemy. The knowledge has rendered all of my ideas useless. What you have said so far has been very helpful. And yes, the knowledge will destroy your old ideas, but can you see? It gave you some very beautiful new ideas, which we cannot even imagine. It made you the whole existence. It made you the Brahman. In everyday language, people will call it God. You are God. However, it is not like that. You are pure. You are already free. You are already bliss. It removed the old, but somehow we end up with something better. Otherwise, why will we take up this path of knowledge? Otherwise, why will I do all this effort to teach anybody? It is better that they stay in their dream and enjoy the dream. Sometimes the path of knowledge looks really depressing. That is when you have half knowledge. That is when you are not established in knowledge. And that is why we need awareness practice. Those who get the knowledge, those who pass the exam, only they will appreciate what they achieved. I'm not saying they will get something, no. They achieved something, which is what you already are. So here we are going to end today's meeting. I hope it was useful for everybody. And I'll see you next time. Namaste.